Hey everyone, and welcome back to At the Table, the only show that asks you to pull out your chairs, grab your books, and join us at the table. Of course, my man to my left, Mr. Michael Powell. Please tell them who you are and where we can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Well, I am Michael Powell, and you can find me all over the internet on my social media, which is at Mr. Kapow. That's Mrkapao. And how about you?
My name is PJ McGaw. You can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Come on, let's have a good time. And thank you for joining us today on At the Table. Today we're going to be doing a build. We had two options pop up in the chat from a previous conversation, so tune in to see which one we end up building. Is it going to be the fastest thing alive? Maybe. Is it going to be the Light Eaters, a secret organization? Who knows? Come in and tune out and put all your ideas in the comments because we'd love to hear from you.
Let's get to it.
Today we're talking about doing a build with you guys. Looking in the chat because we gave you guys kind of a choice. Are we gonna build the Light Eaters today, or are we gonna build what we think right now is the fastest thing alive? Now, the fastest thing alive may change with further research, but for right now, this is the fastest thing that we'd be doing with what we know at this point in time.
What we could come up with on the spot.
Absolutely. So looking in the chat, I'm seeing some requests to kind of finally stand up and do the Light Eaters, but a lot of people have some fun ideas about what could the fastest thing be.
Penguin Witch Doctor posted, ooh, the Strix could do a Hulk smash for 90 feet as a barbarian with bashing charge from the Advanced Player's Guide.
That's very, very true. And also, you have that 1 feat that the Strix get naturally that lets them double their movement for every one action of movement. You could run. So we know we'll save that for discussing whether or not we're going to make the fastest thing alive or make the Light Eaters.
PJ.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Seth MacFarlane cartoon show called American Dad?
Oh, of course, I love American Dad.
Remember that episode when we're introduced to Stelios Kantos? He's like, he runs really far away, like, Stelios Kantos, Stelios. He's running from so far away! That's what I'm imagining with that feat.
He's building up so much momentum. All right, well, let's do this then. Why don't we try to build the fastest thing alive that we possibly can? Reapsecki saying, I'd say Light Eaters if we have more ancestors to go through, but speed if we got the info for it. Now, Adam Generator, hello. Welcome to the chat, Adam Generator.
PJ, first, two things. If we do the fastest creature alive as a Strix, can we name him Stelios Kantos? Or a variation of that?
I'm sure if the chat is into it, yes, we could. I mean, if we do, I kind of like the idea of Harry Allen if he's a beastkin.
Also, second is, you want to do this up to fate. I will flip a coin.
Okay.
Do you want to do that?
Sure, we can absolutely do that. We're going to flip a coin to see if we're going to do the fastest thing alive in Pathfinder 2e, or if we're going to do the Light Eaters.
All right.
All right.
Okay, heads or tails on what we're going to do?
Heads, Light Eaters, tails, fastest thing alive.
Okay. Wait, I just want to position it right.
Yep. It's a B
heads.
on a dice.
That's heads. That's heads.
Heads.
Because this is the other side.
Okay.
The other side's just blank.
Awesome. So here's what we're going to do, y'all. Next time we meet at the table for a build, let's all do a buttload of research and come back with what we think could be Harry Allen, the fastest thing alive. But for right now, we're going to pony up on the Light Eaters. Now, if you saw the episode, we first mentioned this as a concept. This was during the Fetchling ancestry. The idea that the Fetchlings come from the plane of perpetual shadow and darkness. According to the lore of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, this world is basically a buffer between our world and the world of negative energy. So if you will, the world of undeath, the creeping necrosis. So there's this world of shadows, a pale mirror in between our world and the world of the dead. And that's kind of the same with Edge of Legend lore, too.
It's a little bit like a limbo, right? Like a mirror world.
it's a mirror world, but not quite like a limbo. It's not really an afterlife
Yeah,
wait because it's an entire landscape of living,
yeah,
breathing societies.
yeah. No, I'm basically going from the trope where usually when those tropes with movies and TV shows where there's a separate mirror world, there's the other side is kind of drab, and it's like they put a Zack Snyder filter on it.
Yeah, it's like what is it when you get that negative where the
Yeah,
colors become all Smurfy?
yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Like that.
Yeah. It's a lot like that. Although I think one of the things they mention is that because this is the buffer for all that negative energy
Hmm.
seeping through, the big difference is that the landscape, while it may reflect our world and the people may reflect our people, there's a bunch of heinous undead abominations and shadow wraiths and twisted landscapes that defy gravity because that's kind of the natural effect of being in this plane between planes.
Uh huh. You know what? I think would be kind of interesting because this would also combine with that fetchling idea with our current video where right now where we're doing talking about Beastkin and Strix
Hmm.
because all three of these heritages and ancestries you could get the what do you call it the Fey thing right because we talked about a lot.
Yeah, the Fey ancestry. Looking into all of the brand new ancestors coming out, it does look like almost all of them, versatile
Hmm.
heritage and regular ancestries, qualify for um, Fey magic, basically,
Yeah,
level 5.
because do you want to combine all that together and create like these are the mirror image birds like like nocturnal birds like we could with the Strix they have the night gliders with the beastkin you have the like owls and other birds
Maybe.
at night that I can't really think of at the moment.
No, no, that's fine. I think the only reason why I'm hesitant to say yes on that is because I feel like they already exist in this canon, but you
Hmm.
can have the mirror of that in the Fletchling Society. Fetchlings, yeah,
Fetchlings, right.
appear more humanoid than
Hmm.
bird, but you can still have some cool verse. You could have like a fetchling tiefling
Hmm.
because fetchling is a solid ancestry, and you could throw some. You could have like
Yeah.
you could have like a fetchling Dustwalker,
Hmm.
a fetchling Dompier, a fetchling Aasimar. Like
Yeah.
go
Well,
wild.
I was thinking we just go kind of hyper narrow it down. Like this is a subspecies of a fetchling. These are fetchling beastkin avians.
Sure. Well, let me put a pause right there. We don't have to use the Strix information. We're kind of going back to the light eaters,
Hmm.
right? That's what we're doing. So are
Yeah.
we saying we want the light eaters to be only uh,
The
shadow
sub
birds?
race. I think it'd be kind of personally. I think it would be kind of interesting by hyper narrowing it into
Mm-hmm.
this kind of, you know, with all the stuff because oh god, I'm forgetting from what real world culture there is a culture where a reason where originally ravens and birds and crows they had white feathers and everything but they did some
That was Greek.
stuff.
That was the Greek. They used to be
Yeah.
the bird of Apollo, and they disrespected one of Apollo's commands, or they failed one of his commands.
Uh-huh.
And they used to be an all white bird. And then, in a really gross, postmodern appreciation of what happened, he cursed the birds to being all black as opposed to being the white they were before. It doesn't age well, but it's an Apollo story, so nothing Apollo does ages
Mm-hmm.
well. He's gross. Let's I think those could be really cool. I think that could definitely be sort of in the fetchling world.
Mm-hmm.
Let's I think but if we open up the light eaters to being inclusive, we now have much more
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. But I definitely think in like building sub niche heritages for the Strix at a later date could be really cool as
Mm-hmm.
well. Uh
Do you mind if I read some stuff in chat really quick?
sure, go right ahead.
Let's see. So far, right now, let's see. You got Adam Jenner right here. Posted Monk Elf Beastkins, one of the fastest things alive. They love fetchlings. Reef Psyche posted Mere Birds. Sounds like some kind of cryptid, and I love it. Same here. And also Raw, you can make a Rat Folk Rat Beastkin, Lizard Folk Lizard Beastkin, Shooty Dog, etc. Totally, totally. And yeah, Reap agreed. Apollo is trash.
Yeah, Apollo then again There's only so many Greek gods who aren't trash by anyone's standards. They're all so god damn gross.
Yeah.
Um, but that being said, okay, cool. So I do think that could be really cool. And the beastkin is a versatile heritage, so you could
Hmm.
obviously throw it onto anything.
Hmm.
Um, and you could even make them more dog than dog, more rat than rat. I think Adam Generate puts out a lot of fun stuff there.
Hmm.
So now let's go to light eaters because I think that's what we came here to build. I
Hmm.
think we agreed that was with the coin toss.
Yeah.
So here's a question: this is a world that the light eaters are in that lives in utter darkness, absolute cold, absolute shadow. There are evil monsters in the shadows. There are necrotic abominations constantly pouring through, and all the while they would look up beyond these murky clouds and know that there's another world out
Mhm.
there that they are protecting with this massive landscape. So would the
So,
light eaters
mhm.
be like killers, mages, spec ops, spies? What would they be?
Oh, I was gonna say. So, are we deciding that this is a good, neutral, or evil organization or group?
That's a very good question. That is going to be a big part of building the organization.
Yeah.
Chats. I think the goal of the organization would then kind of open up as to what its alignment would be.
Uh huh.
Unless we want to challenge ourselves and be like, no, this is a neutral good organization. This is a chaotic evil organization, so forth and so on.
Hmm. Penguin Witch Doctor posted the negative energy plane consistently does 1d6 negative damage at least in 1e. I mean, this could
Yeah.
also just be a pocket dimension that doesn't have all that rules. It's just negative darkness.
Oh no, the fletchling world doesn't do negative damage. That's what the actual plane
Yeah.
of negative energy
Okay.
does. There's this really gross fan theory. It might be proven, I don't know. But if you go to the plane of positive energy, which constantly heals human beings, there's a gross theory that when you go to the positive plane, you'll heal so much that you'll basically burst because your body is overproducing healing energy.
It's basically like you're. It's like Deadpool's healing factor, kind of.
Yeah. Now here's my thought. My thought is the light eaters would come from the fetchling world. So if the light eaters are in our world, that's really cool. But it does raise the question though, what do they do?
You, ooh, I just had a thought. What if they're
Hmm.
like transportation, as in like they're like the ferrymen of like going to their plane and ours? Like
Not
I'm
sure.
blanking on his name. The ferryman in Greek mythology, Carian,
You're close. I want to say it's Chiron.
Chiron, kind of like that, maybe.
Let's see. Reap Psyche says I kind of like that. Let's see what Reap Psyche says. I think neutral good, kind of like they're there to keep a balance between the light and the dark. Yeah, it's
Car-
Charon. It's like Karen,
that
but
word,
not.
that word.
Yeah, I was playing a Pokemon D&D game, and someone named their Ghastly
Mhm.
Charon, and we had to figure out how to say it right without calling it Karen the entire time because no one needs a Karen ghost.
True.
Okay, so let's see. So light eaters. So Reap Psyche has put up the idea that they could be keeping the balance between the light and the dark. That could be cool. And then bleeding into our world, that could put a different perspective on what
Mhm.
it means to keep the balance between the light and the dark. Penguin Witch Doctor made a really good offer that they could get negative energy resistance,
Mhm.
which I think as an archetype would be
Mhm.
dope.
I like the idea of if they are trying to keep balance, like a straight up true neutral. That,
Ooh.
like kind of like the Watchers in Marvel, like they have a strict rule of non-interference in large scale events. Their transportation, they'll transport an evil guy if they follow the rules, and they'll do the same
I
with the evil with the good guy.
Yeah, they feel more like just information gatherers, whereas the light eaters, I kind of feel like they would have to take action.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They couldn't be passive if their job is to protect a balance between light and dark. Um,
But then if
because
it's
the
mhm,
because at that point there's no balance.
yeah,
If you're not affecting the balance, you're just observing the balance. You're not
then
really protecting it.
if you're the dark, which is usually associated with negative energy. Like I'm just saying, from the rules as written,
Mm-hmm.
and you're eating, destroying, consuming something, then
Mm-hmm.
would you be neutral evil with that,
Mm,
or lawful evil?
I
I wouldn't say
think
chaotic evil.
no. Well, okay. So obviously, within some guidelines, there can be a difference of opinion about how these break out. I generally think that neutral evil is doing a bad thing without any without any reason
Mm-hmm.
other than one being projected to you. Like assassins, I'm going to do an evil deed, killing someone that I don't know or have a reason to kill, but I'm going to do it for money. That money is motivating me to kill someone, right? Lawful evil is like, I am going to use the law to allow me to kill someone. And then there's chaotic evil, which is, I'm going to kill someone because I want to. That's basically
Mm-hmm.
it. So let's see. Reap Psyche is saying light can be evil, dark can be good. Yeah, because you were mentioning
Mm-hmm.
earlier about the Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers story arc, best story arc. Atom Generator is offering an idea of lawful neutral. So maybe what we could do is offer that the Light Eaters are a balancing force that stops light, like what we consider light, from becoming too oppressive. So it's like they're lawful neutral people who are like, this is the law between the world of shadows and the world of the sun. And if the world of the sun breaks these laws, the shadows will eat that light, stopping you from becoming too oppressive with your, what was it? Gandalf said, a coin cannot have less than two sides or something like
Yeah.
that.
We got Reap Psyche posted, "End the tyranny of the sun." I have a lot of friends with pale skin tones who agree with that. They do not
As a
like the
pasty
beach. I'm
pale
just
pink
saying.
person,
They do not like the beach.
as a pasty pale pink person, I can also say sometimes that sun is a bastard. What about any neutral? What do you mean by that, Atom Generator? Do you mean like the organization could be some form of neutral, or are you asking more about the definition of different neutral alignments? So
I mean, I
Thaugus
like the
says,
idea of lawful neutral, which is honestly one of my favorite alignments.
I think lawful neutral is definitely interesting. Let's go with lawful neutral as
Hmm.
a guideline. If we like something different down the road, we can change that.
Hmm.
First of all, how big would this be? Would the Light Eaters be a small elite unit from the World of Shadows? Would they be a massive standing army? Would they just be a regional part of the World of Shadows? How big do we think the Light Eaters should
I
be?
think they should be encompassing that dimension, but be a small group in that dimension, if that makes any sense.
Small group in that dimension. Absolutely, yeah. So we could argue that they'd be regional.
Uh,
Well, I mean, it's kind of redundant. Because everything we are dictating with size, we are also caveating that it would be within the world or in the plane of darkness and shadows. Let's see. Atom Generator says organization would be neutral, so they aren't extremists. I agree entirely. Lawful neutral makes sense, honestly. I think lawful good makes sense too. Also good. Let's go with lawful neutral for now. As we flesh it out, we can jump back and forth between the two. As for size, let me ask you this. So on a scale of like 1 to a million, how many members do we envision this being? Like 10, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000?
Less than 1,000, more than 100. Maybe can we just put down small and then have an asterisk on it?
Actually, well, regional is locational. Yeah, so let's do size and location. So we could do small.
Mhm.
I believe small is with like one within 100.
Yeah,
Small, yeah. Medium is like a couple
I'll say
hundred to a
like
couple thousand.
100, more than 100, but less than 1,000.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say about 250-ish plus,
Ish.
250 plus.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm saying like a little asterisk there.
Yeah. Let's see here. Pi number of numbers. No. We're not gonna have 3.14 infinity members of this group.
The
Uh,
0.14, would that be like How can you be a 0.14 of a person?
I, your shadow counts because if you're a fetchling, your shadow does count as like
True. True.
parts of like a character in
True.
combat. So lawful neutral small, about 250 plus in that ballpark. Let's say do we want to say location would be like regional to a chunk of the Darklands or the Shadowlands?
Yeah.
All right. Regional, and I'm going to
It,
put a note here within Shadow Plane. Okay. So we have the alignment, the size, the location.
mhm,
Let's get the basic thesis out. So this is
mhm,
designed to be the people that stop the light from becoming too powerful and too
mhm.
oppressive against the dark. Like they're not there to overthrow the sun. They just want to make sure the sun doesn't burn everything.
Yeah. Penguin Witch Doctor posted the 0.14 member just shows up and steals the lunches from the fridge.
Ooh, I don't like that person.
And Reef Psyche posted, you've never heard of the nursery rhyme about 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie?
Oh, Psyche, damn it, I love you. You get a hero point. God damn.
And, oh, apparently Malice wants me to quit adding reality to their fantasy.
I love that. Okay. So we have these people. Their goal is to stop the powers of the light from becoming too oppressive. They're not there to wipe it out, but they are there to limit its encroach. Do we want to go with that as like a general thesis?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's see here. To stop the powers of light and positive energy from it's spelled form. That's not right.
Mhm.
Oh no, I have to erase more. There we go.
But yeah, yeah, for me, honestly, like, at least in my interpretation of fantasy, I like having to be based in some form of reality. I always find that kind of useful, at least for me.
Yeah, I think good fantasy, even going so far as back as like mythology and Lord of the
Mhm,
Rings, does balance a good deal of actual reality and creativity, right?
mhm.
Like you can look at Lord of the Rings and definitely pick out what part of J.R.R. Tolkien's life had been influenced by his time in World War One and his time growing up in England and his time studying with C.S. Lewis. Like it was
Mhm.
all there with some degree of observation.
Yeah.
So that being said, the Light Eaters. Now, the Light Eaters, lawful neutral, small, about 250 people, regional within the Shadow Plane. I cannot wait to go to the Shadow Plane. That's going to be so much fun. Purpose to stop the powers of light and positive energy from overwhelming and destroying the balance. So they are definitely going to be. We keep the balance by checking that one side. Do we want to say what kind of members of their organization include, like fetchlings, Dompiers, Dustwalkers, rogues, fighters?
Like I
We
said
want to kind of like
before, I
flesh
like
out
the
the
idea
roster.
of them being a it's like a special, I guess, a special racial like narrowing of fetchlings with the beastkin heritage of like avians
Well,
because it's a very
well,
small subgroup.
yeah, but I think the big thing here is that if this is meant to be in the shadow plane, the fetchlings are a mirror of our
Mhm.
reality. So, with that in mind, it's plausible there are Strix there, but everything would be mirrored. And if it's only Strix, it feels oddly hyper niche. And I think if we just make it an organization that lets basically anyone within this world that's all a shadow reflection of our world, especially fetchlings, which, as the rules as written, seems to kind of be the baseline for the shadow world. You know what I mean? You could be like you could be a fetchling beastkin. That'd be terrifying. Oh my god.
No, that's basically what I'm saying. It's a race of special fetchling beastkins who are avians.
Okay. Well, let how about we just make it? all fetchlings. That way you can be
Yeah,
inclusive to fetchling beastkins.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so all members are fetchlings. Do we want to
Mhm.
say that fetchlings in our world or the world of
Mhm.
the light? Okay. Um,
Like we could also even go with the thing where you know what they could be like a cursed race of they were once regular people in the material plane who were cursed to become fetchlings and got cast into the shadow plane, and now they're in the situation they're in now, and the plane kind of just cause if as a race in that magical kind of plane, it would change you over the millennias into for your people to kind of adapt to that, kind of like how doors adapted because they're underground to get dark vision.
yeah. Miles 1974 made a good point, and more to what I was kind of originally trying to envision. Instead of being hyper specific and hyper niche, any race, any class, because light and darkness don't care. I think that maybe this could start in the fetchling world. So fetchlings would be prominent. But I think if we just make it like one small group of ancestries, it's going to slow down a little bit. So yeah, why don't we make it really kind of any group between the two planes, but we could kind of argue it got started by the fetchlings, and now like, are you a human? Are you an orc? Are you a half elf? Are you a Strix? And you believe in this? Hoorah! How do we feel about that? So it's a bit more inclusive,
Mm.
but we could say like as a story, it started with like fetchlings elite that would break into our world, and by being in our world, they were able to kind of introduce the organization to more people who can now kind of walk back and forth between the shadow plane and the normal plane? Or are we kind of going way off the focus map here?
Because honestly, I feel like if anybody could become anything of anything, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of our organizations we've created, like you know what, you just join. We've designed a lot of organizations like that. I just thought this one time for this one thing would be kind of interesting if we just went the opposite route. But if chat and you want to do it, open up to everybody and everything, hey,
Mm-hmm.
far be it for me to disagree. If that's
I
how
think
everybody else wants to go.
no, I think you make a good point. Like I definitely see. I think what the case here is it does get a little awkward when it's like nope, only this one group is allowed. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or nope, there's only this one group presented. I think what we can do though is we can open it up to say they are predominantly filled by fetchlings because it's a fetchling organization, but that doesn't mean that you know
Well,
anyone can't join
so
and then get the ability to cross
I think
planes.
another thing we also got to keep in mind. So, is this a group that you want to be just have like open to? This is like a piece, like a open PC group, like for like player characters, as in PCs, or do you want it to be more of an NPC group, as you
So,
know, a DM tool to use?
so Penguin Witch Doctor made a good point, and I'll answer that in just a question because I do have a thought in my head, Michael. I don't want to leave you
Hmm.
hanging. They need to have the taint of the shadow because they know how dangerous the sun can truly be. I love that idea. I'd love to use that, and I think this kind of allows us, Michael, to kind of answer your question a bit here. Um, I think the best type of organizations are ones that players can engage with. So, for example, the Pathfinder Society. The fact that the Pathfinder Society is such a major organization within Galarian, um, but at the same time,
I mean, this is a
uh,
small group of like you wrote down 200 or so people.
yes, but my point is still valid. The Pathfinder Society is huge, but the fact is, players can be a part of the lore, like the organizations of the world.
Hmm.
Now, granted, that there may be limitations to that, right? Like, for example, the Fetchlings made this group, and maybe you could say you're going to meet a handful of Fetchlings in the Shadow Plane who are members of the Light Eaters. You could join the Light Eaters, but like Penguin Witch Doctor said, you have to go through a ceremony where you ingest the shadow, ingest that kind of
Hmm.
taint that protects you against the sunlight. And you could have different, pros and cons from that. But Malice made a good argument. Maybe the leadership is fetchlings only. As much as that sucks, I think, Michael, that also goes to your point. Like, you could have a group of people where it's like the hierarchy is all fetchlings because they kind of started it and they've been there longer.
I mean, at that point, you could also say that there are maybe because one of the reasons is there are higher ups for somebody like ability or they have an artifact or something. They're the original ones. They're like quasi immortal at that point.
It also possibility. Like they've been in the darkness so long, absorbing all that energy, that necrotic energy, that now they're like these immortal. And this could be kind of the funny thing. They're like immortal undead abominations themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So now it really casts some doubt. Like,
Like
are we
kind of
doing
like
the
liches a little bit. In a
yeah,
sense.
honestly kind of like liches? Maybe not entirely, but
Yeah. No, I'm
enough.
using liches as an example.
Absolutely. So this kind of breeds some really interesting questions like is what we're doing the right thing or are what we doing the will of people who are so powerful they're afraid to have that power
Mm-hmm.
challenged. And the cool thing is the organization is still the flat organization. We are destroying light that encroaches too far. But then you have this interesting political spectrum where some players are like, I do it because I want to preserve like my lich
Mm-hmm.
god's desire. And others who are like, no, I want to do it because there needs to be balances. Like
Mm-hmm.
if we're going to bleed through across all these planes, we need to protect all the planes from
Yeah,
when
it's
things
like
get unchecked.
it's like the trickle down effect where they have management, and then when you trickle down to each of the workers, they each have their own, goals and personalities and reasons why they're doing the thing. It's not across the board exactly the same.
Exactly. Because, like, I think that's what makes it more interesting. When you have an organization with a focused yet broad, uh, that's a contradiction, but let's just go with it. A focused yet broad idea. Like, we want to do this, but why we're doing it, that creates
Mm-hmm.
interesting player choice. That allows a player to go, oh, yeah, I'm a dust walker, whatever, and my goal is to join the light eaters. Then as you're leveling up, you can meet a fetchling light eater operative.
Mm-hmm.
You get to go off with them, do the ceremony of like never ending shadow, and then you're now a member of the light eaters yourself, and you get some cool light eater powers, which I feel could include teleporting to the shadow world and back as part of their
I
power
mean,
list.
I would like to add a caveat for that is it'll be interesting is the vehicle or the focus material item to do that is they need to look at like a reflection of something, which means they can look at a reflection of themselves in the water or a reflection of a mirror or a reflection of polished metal. I think that would be a really cool vehicle as a focus to kind of cross between the material plane to that plane, the other plane.
I agree 1,000%. I think that's very dope to get like a shield, like a reflective shield, or like a
Yeah,
mirror, or even a river, and like dark magic starts overcoming it as you're
yeah,
looking at yourself, and then your reflection within the shadow world, and then you just kind of,
yeah.
travel into it.
Like if there's no reflection, they're like, okay, I can't do that. I need to find a reflection to do
Exactly.
the vehicle, use it as a vehicle.
And the coolest thing is, you can even make a mechanic that this reflective surfaces will count as like somatic and material
Yeah,
components for this ability.
no, exact. That's what I'm trying to basically say.
Yeah. Um. So the uh. One second, I'm making a note about the hierarchy.
Mhm. Because I do like the idea of like their leaders being demi quasi immortal beings. That is that's a good tool to use as for like the GM.
Exactly. And the cool thing is that you can completely ignore this and just say this organization is what it
Yeah,
is and it's fine for now, or you can do an entire story arc
yeah.
where the hierarchy of the light eaters has become so tainted
Hmm.
by absorbing negative energy
Yeah.
that now they're just a bunch of demi-lich
Hmm.
abominations, and now you within the light
Hmm.
eaters have to cull them.
Yeah. And I mean, also at the end of the day, if somebody else is using this as a template for their table, they can change whatever the heck they want and use it however they want at their table. It's like we're not going to be like, okay, because we created it, we have to be there when you're doing it. Because I don't know about you, but I cannot afford the plane fare for that.
Absolutely. I would love to have that ability. So, okay, so I think we have the basic structure of this. Let's talk about some powers. So we have the really cool teleportation power. We
Mhm.
have the awesome Penguin Witch Doctor negative resistance, which I love.
Mhm.
Do we want to kind of blend some like Shadow Dancer powers or some other
I mean,
things?
the Shadow Dancer power I think is good as is, but because of their name as the Dark Shadow Eaters or the Dark Eaters or whatever,
Mhm.
like I would like to give them a maybe a spell like ability or ability or something, or if we create like an archetype for them that they could dim. They have like kind of like the marshals, they have a kind of field ability, like
Yeah.
an aura ability, where anything in this certain aura of them, they could dim the light, or basically cast darkness, but the darkness will be only casted on themselves. They're the focal point of the darkness.
Okay.
What do you think about
I
that?
got it. I got it. Yeah, I love that for flavor. So, like, basically, you're creating an aura of magical darkness. I think
Yeah.
that's dope. I think that might be a fetchling passive ability, but hell, if you can give that to anyone, that's dope.
Hmm.
We can also do a thing where, like, if you're moving through darkness, you get special, like, bonus damage things. So, like, if you're a rogue who's a light eater,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, ho, stabby, stabby, dark time.
Hmm. And I mean, like other abilities could be like they get a bonus to hide, um, movement, or like maybe once every 10 minutes. Like this would be like a little bit OP, but I would say then put it in a higher level. They're under maybe either a quicken or a once per day ability where they could just hide as either a free action or a trigger or reaction.
Okay. I'm gonna say bonuses to hide and for cover.
Uh-huh.
Just for now, we can figure the rest of that math out
Yeah.
later. And cover as well as an aura of magical darkness on I'll say on summon Q will last some time
Yeah.
period. And maybe some other stuff. Okay, cool. So let me go over this really fast
Hmm.
because we're
Ooh, I just had an
hitting
idea.
that time. What's up?
What if it's basically be kind of a reskinning of the telekinetic cantrip, where it's basically based on if their shadow could touch an item, they can manipulate it kind of like a mage hand or something. Even it's basically Sakuramu's from Naruto
Yeah,
ability.
I know the fetchling ancestry gives that as part of ancestry
Oh yeah,
feats,
yeah.
but I do like that though as like a general power.
Uh-huh.
Let's leave this limited for now, and maybe like as
Okay.
we, because I would love to actually build a Light Eaters archetype. That being said, it's about that time to
Hmm.
call it a day. So let's talk to the chat about this awesome organization called the Light Eaters, and we can always meet up in the chat if you have more ideas, or find us on our Facebook or YouTube page and offer more suggestions because this could be badass.
Hmm.
The Light Eaters are a lawful neutral, small, about 250-person organization regional to the Shadow Plane. However, they are, while all their members tend to be fetchlings, and in our world or the Shadow Plane, they will hire and reach out to other planes for recruitment, especially for other ancestries and etc. Though the hierarchy favors nigh immortal fetchlings who may or may not be corrupted by negative energy, uh, the people below them vary. But because of the secretive nature of the hierarchy, not many have seen them directly. So now you get that kind of
Hmm.
plausible deniability for a storyline. The purpose of this organization is to stop the powers of light and positive energy from overwhelming and destroying the balance between planes. Some powers that you can get after imbibing the Dragon Age throwback that Penguin Witch Doctor mentioned of the Shadow Taint. You could get Shadow Teleportation through reflective surfaces, negative damage resistance, bonuses to hide and cover, Aura of Magical Darkness, or maybe even like destroying darkness around you. I'm sorry, destroying light around you, and more to be decided later. But we have now a magical badass uh, shadow unit, which I love. And I
Hmm.
maybe I'm not promising this is a one shot. I do way too many one shots as it is, but maybe there could be one episode where everyone gets a free archetype of the light eaters, and you guys go to like kill Apollo or something.
All right. Well, I guess it's time for our sign off.
Absolutely. It's that wonderful time again. So, Mr. Michael Powell, please tell them who you are and where they can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Well, I am Michael Powell, and you can find me all over the internet on my social media, which is at Mr. Kapow, that's MrKapao, or my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Michael Powell Does Stuff, because I do a lot of stuff, like my YouTube channel called Fantastic Tales of Adventure, and I recently just posted up my 100th story video. And this week we're doing a lot of upgrades. We're going to do a design aesthetic upgrade and also a mascot reveal designed by a really cool friend who is on the night, which is Bev. Yeah, that's really awesome. And also on, I believe, Friday, I will be debuting a new video series I'm really excited about. And yeah, also on Thursdays on the Toyzilla Network, I'm part of a show called Toyzilla Live, where we talk about toy news and nostalgia stuff. So that's really fun. How about you, PJ?
Thanks for asking. My name is PJ McGaw. You can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Come on, let's have a good time. When I'm not here Tuesdays with Mr. Michael Powell, 3:30 to 5:30, you can find me Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our homebrew show, Edge of Legend. Things are getting awesome now. The war is kicking up. They're going to fight all the big bad guys, and I cannot wait for the conclusion of that awesome story. So come on, check us out here, Nat20 Productions official. And a fun announcement, which is why I got to really skedaddle. Tonight at 8 p.m., I am joining Live Action Roleplay as they do their Angels and Demons boardroom, Armageddon boardroom LARP game. I will be joining as a military angel. So come check me out at Live Action Roleplay, 8 p.m. tonight, as I get on my angel wings and my bad attitude. I look forward to seeing you then. And as always, I'll see you same Nat time, same Nat channel here at the table.
Hope to see you in the Purgatory Cafe hopefully one day, PJ.
I would be stoked to come by and have chat with you guys. Absolutely.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.